name is Michael Miller here with Tokyo Tower, and I have the pleasure, definitely for my whole weekend, this is really incredible. We have a special guest here. I'm just going to let him introduce himself.
Hello, I am Taku Takahashi. I'm one of the founders of m-flo, and I do an internet radio site called Block FM, BLOCK.FM, and also Otakuest, OTAQUESD.com. I've been doing m-flo for almost 20 years, produced a lot of J-pop artists, and also produced music for anime such as Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt, or Face Dandy, and so on. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking some time out for this interview.
Yeah.
I've followed your career for a while, but I was trying to ask friends, like what kind of questions, I should ask.
Anything.
Well, they were just like, oh my God, it's Taku. Like, there's so much I want to ask.
Well,
So
I'll answer any question, and any question I can answer.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. First, you have had such an impressive and lengthy music career that I kind of want to know what really inspires you both with each project and even to evolve with time.
I mean, my inspiration is always from music. I listen to lots of different types of music. U.S. artists, European artists, foreign artists from Japan. Well, it's so international, so it's so weird to say the term foreign.
Mm-hmm.
And I do listen to some Japanese artists, like a lot of underground artists. And so music has always been my inspiration for me. I mean, I always listen to what they make, what they create, and I'm like, oh man, I want to try that too.
Yeah.
And I just keep on trying doing that. And at the same time, the more I do music, I need energy from some other stuff. And I'm deeply in love with U.S. dramas. And it's so different from what we have in Japan. It's very stimulating, so I can say. I don't know the best term for it, but I think it's fantastic. I mean, every season there's something that I would love to watch. And I mean, if you're familiar with m-flo, a lot of m-flo stuff is very influenced. Like all the skits and interludes are very influenced from sci-fi. And I watch a lot of sci-fi, and I watch a lot of dramas and movies. So those are my inspiration.
That's very awesome.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Have you ever had the chance, and if not, would you want to maybe then create music for a TV show over here?
Yes, that would be my dream come true, and I would love to. I mean, it was my dream come true to make music for anime too, because I love anime.
Mm-hmm.
And working with Watanabe Shinichiro, the creator of, recently he did the Blade Runner, and also he's also very known for Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
I mean, doing this soundtrack for Space Dandy was my dream come true. And working with Dai Sato. My favorite anime is Eureka 7, and I'm a big fan of Dai Sato. And working with him was, such, it was a reward for me. And also, I was so fortunate to do Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. That is, I'm sure is a big reason I'm here at the anime convention, aside from doing, the project with m-flo. And I really have to appreciate that for the opportunity. So, I've done anime, and I would love to keep on doing it. I do make music for games, but I would love to do music for dramas too in US.
Yeah. I know you've had the chance, because you do so much yourself too. I don't know, how many people realize, you can play instruments, you can rap, sing, obviously produce, run record labels. But a lot of times you get to work with, a certain vocalist.
Yes.
Are there any, particular highlights where you've just been really excited to get to work with, a specific vocalist?
I mean, the amazing thing about m-flo was that we could work with so many different artists. We started this project called Love Series, and after Lisa left, we worked with so many different artists. And the fact that I'm in the music industry was a big thing for me, because I love music, and I got to meet a lot of people that I really, really admired. And I even could work with them. That was really awesome. And the highlight would be working with Chara, Chara, and Miss Makinomiya from Pizzicato 5 and Crazy Ken Band, because those are the people I listen a lot. And and working with Toa Tay and Shinichi Osawa, and they're like my mentors. They still are my mentors. I mean, they always give me inspiration. And working with a lot of different vocalists, not only that, like working with, as I mentioned, I do a website, internet radio station called Block FM, and Block FM has a lot of radio shows of different DJs and of Japanese DJs and international DJs, and I also create radio. So working with them is also like it gives me a lot of inspiration from like younger generations too. Yeah, I'm still having highlights. So it's amazing like how like a boy who just loved music and sci-fi and anime just got to have an opportunity to work with those people and still being in the industry for 20 years and just keep on doing it. It's a reward. I don't know what's the word for it. It's a gift, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. And you specifically mentioned, like mentors. And I wonder, having been in, your career so long, do like a lot of younger artists kind of come to you as well as their mentor?
No, that's a very good question. Like, I'm 43 right now. I don't think it's on the Wikipedia for some reason. Right? I'm 43. I'm not hiding. I'm 43 and I don't mind being 43, but at the same time that means that I'm more experienced and I have a lot of young artists, and I was trying to become a 43-year-old artist, like being responsible or trying to become a role model for other artists. And I think it's a good thing, but at the same time it was not a good thing for me because I had to tell myself that I have to become a mentor. Mm-hmm. And that meant, it's very hard to explain this, but it's like there are some expectations for the mentors. But I think the good thing about me, Taku Takahashi, is the fact that I just love music. And, sometimes being a mentor, there's some noise. And like, let's say it's easy to look up on people, but it could be hard to look up on younger people because you have to tell yourself that I'm a mentor. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't work that way for me. I look up on the newcomers, new artists, and of course, yes, I will give advices if they ask me for advices. But at the same time, they are my mentors too. They teach me a lot of stuff. They give me a lot of inspiration. They teach me what's the new style. So, and at the same time, there's this pride thing, right?
Yeah.
When you're like 43 and because you're younger, I feel like I'm supposed to know more. And all that stuff was like, in me. But nowadays, I really look up on the younger artists. And we're in the same level. We're all creators. We're trying to make something great. So, like if, let's say, like some younger artists create something new, I'll be like, hey, I want to try that too. Mm-hmm. And I try to do what I can. And, well, I was saying that since when I was, like, younger artist, like, when I was in 20s. I was looking at Shinichi Osawa so saying, hey, that's really awesome. I want to try that too. But it's going to get a bit technical here, but I'm going to say it anyhow. But back in the day, like, we were making music. Like, we were using computers, but we also had instruments. We all had different instruments. So, let's say Shinichi Osawa had this instrument A. I owned instrument B, which is a total different instrument, right? And I was trying to create which would sound like A with the instrument B, but apparently it doesn't end up sounding like A, and that made originality. But nowadays, it's all in computers. Like if you check up on YouTube, there's so many tutorials, and you can make the exact same thing because we all use the same instruments nowadays. So I try to be careful at the same time. I try to get inspired and try to make the stuff that is inspiring, but I try to use different instruments. I try not to use the same computer's software and try to come up with something different.
Yeah.
Sorry to answer to
No worries. Yeah, I was curious just because, the music scene, I'm sure, has, just changed so much, even just in the last decade, let alone the last two. If there and I think you kind of speak to this, just because you can hear so much music now all around, that I'm sure you're finding more inspiration, but also more people are kind of getting homogenous.
Mm-hmm. Yes, homogenous is the best term was happening in the industry. I mean, the great thing is anyone can make music. That is a wonderful thing. But at the same time, it is tougher to become original, create something original, because just as I mentioned, we all use same synthesizers. So I try to choose different synthesizers, and well, I have one forte, and that is sampling. I sample music from vinyls. So, like, I was very into electronic oriented stuff, but I'm really back to sampling. That's when I did a lot of sampling in like the first album, Planet Shining, and the second album, Expo. I'm more into something like that nowadays.
I guess just since I know you're getting to meet your American fans too, and I know you've been over here, but I don't know how much you've performed over here. But what are you hoping to kind of convey with your music to the American audience?
Honestly, I mean, this is my first time being in Atlanta, and I haven't played my set yet, so I don't know what's going to happen. There were 2 autograph sessions, and a lot of people came up to me, and I was very happy and actually surprised. Like, there are like fans out there who listen to my music, and they even brought my CDs. So I was very happy to see that, and I just try to do what I can do, be honest to myself, and of course I would love people to like my music, but I always have to be true to myself. I always do what I do, and I just hope that you like it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know we're out of time, but yeah, I just want to say as a fan, I definitely think you've left a legacy already, and I know you've got so much more that you're working on and going to work on. So I just thank you for your music and for coming here to perform.
Oh, thank you. But let me tell you about one thing. Like m-flo, we're working on a new album right now for m-flo. It's going to come out in the year 2018, and 2018 is the 20th anniversary for m-flo. And what we are making is it's different from the last album. I think it's going to be closer to the first album, maybe. Well, I don't know. I can't really guarantee anything. It's about creation, and I can't tell until it's finished. But right now we're working on m-flo, and if you got a chance, please check my Twitter page at Mark TAKUDJ, and there, and also my Instagram TAKUDJ and Facebook, and I'll be posting out my information, and also I'll be starting a webpage. English webpage too, so hope we keep in touch.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.